All right, hey, here we are back in working on our ship. I have this ship blocked out pretty, it works. It's not the best in the world. It's not the worst in the world. Well, it's crap. But anyway, it works for the process that we need. So I'm going to do one more thing in the materials. I'll pull up the materials. Let me show you what I have for these materials. Push this button. Put everything out and grab this and say hide children tree and minimize that and then do this again. There. Okay. So what I've got is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 textures. Each of those textures has different things to them. So this is painted physical material, painted metal, I'm sorry. This is a fall off glow. This is a black metal, which is just black, I guess. I just really wanted it black. I could just change that to black for some highlights. This is the glow. Glass, silver, freighter. I'm going to call this, instead of base, we'll call this mid gray. Yellow. I said metal, but we're just going to say yellow. They're all metal and red. Okay, so I've got all those, and if you look at my piece here, all these materials share a few things that are common. They share the normal maps. If they're using normal maps, they always share these. Like this is a lighter silver one, this is the darker gray one, this is the glow that I have on it, and then I have a fall off glow right inside of here because the way I unwrapped it wasn't perfect. I have my glass up here, I have the glow in the back, I have a couple glows up here. I did a metal for the, I did an orange and a red for the freight, and then I did some black red, stuff in here for the turbine. So what I'll do is I will come back to this, and what I want to do one more thing too is I want to put, I'm going to grab the freighter, go to there, 4, and turn on the bi-angle and ignore back facing. Let's see if we can get, oh, it's too high, so let's do 10, 15. In this case, I'll put that on by pushing F2. Got that. I'll do the underside, even though I really never really finished the texture on the underside. It's fine. I'm going to take this off. Oops, take the F2 off, and then we're going to take that silver, the silver material, throw it on there. And what I'm going to show you a couple real quick things inside of here. If you have this set up like I finally do in this, if you click this open, you will see all the materials I'm using, but it only shows you the dots. Then you have to take it and say hide, hide children tree, and then if you want to click this again, it'll sort it for you. So I've got the AO, the color, and the amount multiplied together to go to the base, just like we did in class. And then this right here is the tiling texture for the metal, which if we look at it, goes to ID2. What else? Probably should check them all. So what I'll do is show you the big mess that I made inside of here and say unhide all children, and then we go like that, and then we'll do this there. Okay, I just want to make sure that all of these are set to 2. Open that up. Sometimes when you dupe them, they don't take that with them. So there's that on the glow. 2. Looks like we're good. So now we have multi-channel to unwrap on each of these as we set up before in last class. And we'll just go ahead and get out of this object. I'm going to save it because it's been acting funky. I go through the same problems you do. I had to reinstall Max the other day, so we all have it. All right. I totally would spend tons more time on this if it was really an asset. So, and that's why it's an exercise more than an asset. So we're going to come in here, and then I'm going to grab everything. Make sure I grab everything, and then I'm going to export selected. So again, it's File, Export, Selected. Space Freighter. Okay, and then we're done in here. We can close this out. Save. Okay. So I do want to talk about this, and I'll probably just do a real quick video on this on the side. But this is not the one we were in before. This is the preview packages. What it's called is the real-time or PRP. PBR, goodness, mouth, PBR shader, and it has a bunch of different assets in it and ways to do things. One of the things and the reason I want to work in here is because we can build our own shaders, and I want to show you all this, and I want you to play around inside of here because it's pretty cool and pretty awesome. But for now, it is what it is. So we'll take a look at this. I'm going to take my freighter, which I just saved into my geometry folder, and then in environments, I just threw it in here. I'm going to throw it in the scene. And if we look at it, it looks like the freighter, but it doesn't really have any textures or anything. So what's the big hoopla? Well, I've made one of the textures for this already. Let's take a look at that texture. And to do that, we made a shader. What shaders are is different than what materials are. Materials are shaders are the code that tells textures what to do, and it's like a setting inside of your material, and you can have these shaders that define how your material works for each piece. So basically you're writing the code for the material to be put on here, but in its infinite wisdom, they've shown us to not have to do that. So if we look inside this material, though, we will see all my materials are here except for this one, crap. Let me see. I can look on this. It'd be even easier. This one. Black. I do have silver metal and painted metal, so we'll leave those. But I don't have yellow metal anymore. If I click on the turbine, silver metal, I click on here, painted metal, but there's no yellow metal. So I can get rid of this one. This is from before. Okay, so what we want to do is edit the materials inside of here. So how do we do that? What's the dealio? And how do we use the multi-channels to get what we want? Well, this right here is a shader. I'll open it up real quick and show you what I've written it, and then we'll do one from scratch. Okay, so if I take this shader, and it looks like, and I'll put this shader, actually it's called silver, though I think that's fine. So what I'll do is I'll open up, let's say, freighter base or silver metal. Let's just open up silver metal. And if we look inside of here, before we had, standard. We aren't in standard anymore. We're not in Kansas anymore. So we're going to go down to shader graphs and say silver. And now we have this beautiful texture. All right. And if this is being used on the object, it's now been applied to it. Pretty cool, huh? Look at that. All that stuff we just put on it. And you'll see that the way I wrote it up, it's still doing that different unwrap for 2 different channels in the object. Okay, so let's go back. We have to make one of these silvers. If I was smart, I can make it so they're all their own, or they have one master, and we just kind of feed and change it. But we aren't going to do that for this case because actually, maybe we will. But let's just do an easy one now. We'll come back and look at making custom shaders at some point, some more customized and some more reusable. I just want you working in the shaders to start off with. So I'm going to right click in here, say create, and go to PBRGraph. I'll go right click in here, go to create, go to shader, and go to PBRGraph. We're going to click on that. And then we're going to name this, mid-gray, just so it matches the material we're using. Now the real deal with shaders is we're going to have it set up with a bunch of reusable parts. But like I said, for today, I just want you to build shaders for each of your textures to make your life a little easier to use. We don't need the freighter base anymore either. And I don't think we need the black metal. Okay. So I have mid-gray. So if I come over to my mid-gray material and I look at it, I'm going to come up to the material type up here and say shader graphs. And you look now, it says there's a mid-gray graph. And now we have this mid-gray. Now right now, all the mid-gray is just a gray texture. So let's do another one. Let's say create, and we'll say, shader, and then PBRGraph. And we'll call this one red. And then we'll do another one. Create. Shader, PBRGraph, and we'll call this yellow. And probably as we get into this, maybe I'll make this red and yellow the same textures for now. But let's go into what these shaders look like. First, let's do the mid-gray because we are using it. And let's double click on it. And when I do that, it opens my other window, but let me pull it down here. It takes a second to build it. And it looks like this. So I've got this PBR master, and then I've got all the other textures set up for me, or the other types that you expect to see for a PBR. We have albedo, we have normal, we have emission, we have metallic, we have smoothness, we have occlusion, and all the other crazy stuff we can do. So if we push the space bar while we're in this viewport, oh wait, you know what's not funny? Oh, there it is. Okay, you want this up here in the corner, by the way. We'll get to what that is in a few minutes. If it doesn't show up, sometimes you have to close it and open it. It is still in a preview version, but this is the version that Unity will be putting out for officially this year or next year. So it's really well built, and it's been on a few versions here. If I move it off screen and I zoom out by scrolling in and out, and I can move it by middle mouse move, if I lose it, if I push A, it'll center it on the screen, including all its attachments. So it's a little bit different than Max because it's not as easy just to throw a texture on something. But we know to get this color, which is the albedo, we set it up so, and by the way, this is sitting up here too, so I have actually 2 of them going on. So for now, we're just going to rebuild it. Okay, so we'll do this as our PBR master, and this is our mid-gray, right? So we know that the metallic, the smoothness, and the albedo are at least have some 2D textures in it. So to do this, we push space bar, and that opens up the kind of nodes we can use. And instead of searching for a 2D texture, we'll just say texture. And you would think that you just want 2D asset, but what you really want is a sample texture 2D. Okay. And you look in here, and we see there's a thing right here for to grab it. Now, if we had put our textures in the proper folders like we had to do for every other time we work inside of Unity, we click here and we can look. And this will be the first one we're going to make. So I'm going to look up trim, and there's my trim sheet. AO. I'll double click it. Okay, and I could take this and throw it straight in there. And you'll see it now. And you know what's funny is this thing sometimes works great and sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, there, see how it's spinning? It's frozen my other one. There's a couple of glitches, yeah. Anyway, it's moving. You just can't see it because there's a... But we could do a custom mesh. We could do our ship if you wanted. Let's see. Or maybe our cargo. Oh, there it is. And if we close it and save, we'll see now our texture is on the main gray area. We haven't done the rest of it, but it's now placed on there. So awesome, it's working. Double click on it again to open it up and we'll see it. And of course it's still not working. I don't know what the glitch is with this one, but that's fine. So this is a 2D image, that's all we want, but really what we want is a 2D image with color, if you remember how we did it in Max. It's the same thing we're going to do in here. In this case, you want to get rid of one, you just delete it. You just grab that line and delete it. Then we're going to go push the shader and we're going to say multiply, right? Because that's what we did last time. Multiply, bam. And then probably push the spacebar again and say color. And we'll just grab color. And then we will take this color and make it, if I was smart, I'd take that color from exactly from Max, but for right now, it's fine. And I'll take this 4 color and I'll put it right there. And then I'll take this one and put it right there. And now I've got a darker version of it, and I can take both of those and put it into there. And now my material's got that on there. So weird. Okay. So we can also push this little button and make it disappear. Push this and it'll make that disappear. We don't have to look at it all the time that way. But let's make this usable. Okay, let's take this and make it usable. Meaning that I can build the shader once and use it several times. So how do we do that? Well, instead of putting the shader, the picture in here and the color defined in here, what we can do is we can right click on it and say, wait, gotta click up here. Right click on it. Where's the picture? There it is. Right click on it. Over here. Interesting. Hold on 1 second. We'll do this one. Convert to property. And you'll see that this from here now shows up here. If I drop down, you'll see its color. And we'll go say metal color grid. Okay, I'm going to say grid because I want to have those. There's going to be two. Maybe we have 2 different types of metal spec things. But you'll see we don't have any control in here. Well, where did that control go? If we go back outside and look at this material now, it's now. Oh, plus we have to save it. Save your changes. And now it's right there. So we can change the color of this to whatever we want it to be. If it's not dark or it's too dark or whatever. So that's cool. So we can open these things up to everything, and there's a way, maybe it's... Oh yeah. Okay, so for us to be able to get to the property of this one, we have to change it. And what do we have to do? We can do it a couple ways. Oops. I'm going to minimize this. And we're going to say texture 2D because this is how we can get control of the texture. So I'll take this and I'll say none for now. And I don't have to do that. I'm just doing that. But I'm going to take this one and do that same thing. And we'll say trim. And I'll come to the trim sheet and I'll throw it in. And now my trim's in there. But it's only in here. So how do I get it out of here? We'll call this metal AO. Or trim AO, well, just so we know what it is. Sure. I pressed enter and I think it saved it. So if we do this and hide it, we can just drag this off of there and it makes a property for us. And then we can drag this straight onto there and you'll see that it'll build it again, just like it was before. But now if we come back outside, we can see that we have a map that we can just drop in. So now we're getting control back. Okay. So you may ask, why don't you just take this and throw it into there? Because it doesn't work. This is a different kind of node. You kind of have to sample this 2D the way that it works to get it to actually use it. So we do it that way. And you can look at there's default and normal, which guess what that's for, and tangent and object. So tangent and object is something we're going to worry about right now. But now I've got trim AO as a separate thing. I've got metal color, the same thing. If I use this again, it's going to be changing the properties everywhere. So I believe we need to do it several times. But let's get back to making this work the way we want here. Pull that in. So now we've got our basic albedo set up. That's all we needed for that. Okay. So next, we need to look at our normal, which is in a different position than what we're used to. So we'll do, again, we're going to go sample 3D, or if we want to be able to change it out, we'll just do here plus, we'll go texture 2D, and then we're going to call this trim normal. And probably better naming conventions for all this stuff, but for now this works. I'm going to drag this out, and then I need another sample 3D, and I can either drag it this way and then say sample or sample 2D texture like this, which looks exactly the same, and then drag it into here. And what's going to happen, if I could see the stupid ball, so weird. Okay, all the previews are open. Okay. What I could do is see that it's kind of not working, and if I look on here, I maybe will, let me save and make sure that's what it needs. Yeah, it's kind of being weird. Well, part of that is because when you import a texture in, that's a normal, you need to reset it. But the other thing is that I haven't set this to normal. Bam. That should have... Oh, I didn't put a normal in there yet. So for now, we're going to use the default normal. We'll go trim. Like, why is this not working? Well, because you didn't put it in. We'll put it in like that. Say OK. Save. Hide that there. And now it's still being weird. So... I do want to point out these both say UV0. That's important to understand. Tangent. It's working in here, as you can see. So I'm not sure what's going on with the export. Let's see something here. I'm going to move that off screen real quick. Come to our mid-gray. Oh. They don't have the textures in here. I forgot. It reset them when you did that for whatever reason. So all I have to do is go to my textures, make sure I lock this down, and then go to normal, drag it into my normal, and now it's working. And then go to AO and drag it into my AO. And now we've got our AO and our normal on the object. That's the only thing you're going to have to realize is that even though it's defaulted this way, for whatever reason it didn't put it in there. So sometimes when you see that happen, you just need to repopulate it. But the cool thing is now, I can make the silver and the mid-gray from the same thing, so we can rename it or whatever we want. Okay, so what's left? Well, the big thing, the thing that you guys learned this semester that you haven't learned before, hopefully, besides this, the metallic and smoothness. So how do we do that? Well, we remember that's just a normal map too, right? So how do we, just a texture map too, so we do the same thing. We're going to come up here, we're going to say plus, we're going to say 2D texture, and we're going to call this metal chan 2. So we know when we see it that's channel 2 and metal. We'll come in here, grab this, and go to, I think it's this one. maybe. I think it's just this one. Okay, so I found it. It's this one right here, and then we've made it. We've called it metal channel. We may want to call it metal N. I think I used it for both. We'll see. And then we just drag it out here, and then we do the same exact thing again. We go out, say sample, pop, and then we take this and we put it onto here. I'm going to leave this open for a second. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so what we're going to do is use that same one again, but we're going to use it for smoothness. Hopefully. There we go. Okay. So let's take a look at our ship. Oh, we have to save it. And of course it doesn't show up. So we're going to select, we're going to come down to our tiling metal, double click. There it is, and it's obviously too dark at this point. Okay, but that's not what I want to look at. What I want to look at in here, let me make this brighter so we can see it a little bit better. Standard gray, there we go. What I want to look at is all that hard work we put into making our textures tile across the same faces. It's not working more. It's bigger here, it's smaller there, it's bigger here. You know, all that stuff. It's not even. Well, the silver is even, but that's because I made it before. But like this is different than that and all that. That's a problem. Why is it doing that? Well, because it's not using channel 2. It's using channel 0. And here they call it channel 1 is 0 and 0 or 1 is 2. So it just goes back to 0. So we're going to take this and go up 1, donk, like that. And recompile the shader, save the asset. And if we pull out of here, then we get closer again. Now we're even again. They're all facing different directions, but it matches the UVs that we did. See how that's clean? They even kind of match here. See that? They do. So that's how we get our second material ID in here. Channel ID in here. So now we've got both those like this, and now we have 2. And what I could do is, this is open to that. That's all we have for that. We could do a bunch of other things too, but really we're just here for this. We'll do another one for emission too. So I'm going to close this one like that. And then what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to come back to my materials. And I'm going to change this from mid-gray to metal. Ship. Okay. So the reason I'm going to do that is because if I look at my silver, it doesn't have the same... Oh, wait, here, let me do this. Add tab, inspector. Okay. It doesn't have the same settings because I didn't do it that way. So, but what I could do is go into silver real quick and say, silver, I want to be able to see the... Oh, and this one I did it different a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll make it like the last one. It's amazing to me that I haven't even set this up different. I set it up a little bit different. And it still shows me the maps, even though I didn't put them into the properties. Interesting. Okay. So our sample 2D texture is right here, but we need to do one more thing. We need to come in here, sever this real quick, delete. So it breaks that. And then we're going to go space bar is the easiest way to do this. And we'll say multiply, if I could spell, like that. And we'll put it up here. We'll put that one in there. We'll just drag this one to there. And then what I'm going to do is what I would have done is just made another one here. And I'm not going to do it because it doesn't really do any good. Why does it do any good? Because I'm just going to use this one from now on. So watch. I'm going to close this. Oops, that's not closing it. Close it. Sure, why not? Save it. It's going to be broken. Okay. But what I'm going to... Stupid buttons. What I'm going to do is now take this silver metal texture. I'm going to delete... Well, let me take the silver metal first. And instead of using silver, I'm going to go to Shader Graphs and just use metal ship. So now they're all the same, right? That's the problem, but it's not. Because what I need to do is just push this up to white. And lo and behold, I have all that I've changed. Okay? So there you go. I have that set up now too. Now, the red and the orange are using the same. The only reason I'm keeping them the same is because these match. Now, if I did the red and the orange, or red and yellow, I don't need both. So I'm going to delete this one. And now I'm going to delete silver too. It was a little bit brighter, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is open up this. Actually, I'm going to rename this cargo, or let's say painted, like that. Okay. And what painted's going to be is our painted reds and yellows. So we're just starting over here. I'm going to do it again for you. I'm going to say in here, actually we'll just do it in here. First we'll do a texture. And we'll say texture 2D, and we'll call this I'm probably being inconsistent, AO. And then we're going to grab that AO, same texture we had before, this one, double click it, and then we're going to go close that real quick, and then we're going to click in here and say color, and we're going to name this color container, or container color maybe, container color. And we're going to change this one to, I think it was a darker red. That's what I had. Like that. And then we're going to minimize that. And we're going to drag it on the screen. We're going to drag it on the screen. And then we're going to click this one out and go to multiply. Multiply. I can't spell, so apparently it doesn't like me. M-U-L. Huh. Let's just do it this way then. Spacebar, M-U-L. Interesting. Put it up here. This one goes to here. Oops, missed. Oh, that's part of the problem. This one does go to here, but we have to do that. This one going to sample. Sorry, sample 2D texture. Remember. Which is also where we change our UV coordinates on it. And we're going to grab this one and go to there. And then we can minimize this, and so you know it's that red, and it's probably a little bit too red. We can come back to the container color, change it to a little bit more dark, something a little bit muted and darker. Okay. And then we throw this into the albedo, so we get that. Technically, we could just copied it and changed a bunch of stuff in here, yes, but I want you to understand what we're doing as I do it. In case some of you were thinking that. Okay, and then we'll go to normal, and of course we need sample. Geez, I got a ton this time, huh? Well, let's do it this way. We're going to come up here and say 2D texture, metal, normal, like that. grab this, go to our normal, grab that one, double click it, and then we'll drag this out here. We'll go to this and go sample. Only gives us a couple options then. And it's not set to normal, so we go to normal, and then we take this RGB4 and we throw it up into normal. Okay, minimize this, minimize this. Now we do our metallic smoothness. I think there's two different ones on this. So I'm going to say plus, 2D texture, metallic, and then come here, go to my metallic, I think it's this one. Yeah. Do metallic on it, and then we'll take this out and we'll drag it out. And then we'll take this and say sample. Looks like I missed. Sample, 2D. And then we take it from here to our metallic. And of course it's not spinning, but it's there. Okay, and then we'll do one more thing. And what we could do is we could come in here, pay plus, say 2D texture, call this, we'll call it smoothness, though it is, we'll call it rough for now, even though Unity uses that. Okay, grab this, come in here and grab that other one we saw, which was, I think it's this one, yeah. Drag it out. We can shift, or we can control D to copy if you want, and throw it out there on its own. We're gonna take it, open it up a little bit, take this to our leader, take this to there, and take this one to smoothness. Yeah, I think I ended up using this metal here. And this smoothness here. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to take this one and go to here, and this one to go back to here, like we had it. But there's a way to make it invert. Yeah, we'll do that next time. Let's delete this. I'm gonna get rid of this. Really frustrating here. Wait, hold on. Turn this back up. Yeah, it turns it off. I always do that because that's the way Max does it, so my brain's thinking Max. Okay, so we'll just do it this way for now. This goes here, and then this one will go up to the metal. Okay. Yeah, we'll just do that. Which just means we need to change this to metallic and change this one to roughness. Rough. Okay, so we'll call it smoothness. Smoothness. Double click on this one, get rid of that. Enter. Okay. So now we got that set, and all we have to do is say save. Close it. Come in here, grab these guys. And we're going to take our red material. And okay, so now what we have to do is go to our red material, which is assigned to the right area, just don't forget that, and take our HD render pipeline and go down to shader graphics and go to painted. And now look, that red that we have defaulted in there is perfectly in there. So we could also do that to our yellow. So we're going to come into our yellow and we're going to say shader graphs. Oops, I guess that's not our yellow. That will be. And we're going to take this one and say the same thing, shader graphs painted. But now they're both all red, right? Well, that's okay because we have this exact thing for that purpose. So we can pull this up, brighten it up a little bit. And now we can see, oh, I think there's one thing that I didn't do yet. Yeah. Need to go back into that painted shader. And I think we forgot to change the sample to UV1. And we need to open this one too. And do the sample to UV1 because we're using the second channel. Hide it, save it, close it. Now our tiles, you'll see, go across the paint evenly. It's not like each one's getting its own texture. It's tiled for that. See, they match all the way across. Okay. So, and if we were smart, we could do some funky stuff with it too, but we're going to leave it that way. All you have to do is build the shaders for the rest of these. I want to see what you can do. The glow, let's see if we can do a glow real quick. I mean, I'm not going to teach you the black one because that one's pretty simple. And whatever textures you may be using actually too. In the glass, you know, do your best and let's see what you can get out of this. So I'm going to go one more time. I'm going to go create. I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I do this every time. Rendering, PBR graph. I'm going to call this the glow. Okay, this one's a lot easier if I double click on it. First thing I probably want to think about is emission. So I probably just drag this out here and I'll say color. And actually, come to think of it, I shouldn't do it that way, right? Well, I should do it up here. Plus color, and we'll call this emissive. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to say color. And I'm going to say albedo because in my other one, I actually did that. I did that. That's why it went from green to the color because the way the emission was set up. Okay. So right now I want this emission to be this bright blue for me. And then I want this to be a greenish like that. Okay. And you can grab these little handlebars and make them bigger. Now, default is the mode, right? Here's the deal with this. We want to leave this one probably the same, but we're going to take this one and change it to HDR because that's how we're going to get it to make brightness. So I'm going to drag this off here, and I'm going to drag this off here, and then I'm going to take this and go to the emissive channel, like that. I'm going to take this one and go to my albedo. I'm not sure if it'll work the same in here. It's something I haven't tested, but there's a few things we could do about that too, but that's more animation and more technical stuff. I really love the shader graph. I just can't get it to work perfectly at this point, so I can't show you the ball, but I do have fun with it. I'll show you something I was playing with earlier. And it's not like it's brain surgery, but it's fun. So I take this, and I change that from that to, we're going to call it shader graphs, and go to glow. And now everything that had the glow on it now has the glow on it. Cool. Now we've got our ship in here. Almost done. I think I have some black paint that's in here. And then I have some, that may be it. Now, if we'd spend a lot of time on that, oh wait, we have some stuff inside here too, but so we have the glow, we don't need that one. Glass, we can see if we can use the standard for this. It may be fine. Let's see. First off, we'll make it black. We did before. Turn down this and turn this up Problem is we have nothing to reflect off of, so, but it's there. So there's glass. And if I wanted to, I think we can just, yeah, I thought, oh, duh. So in here, if you want to do alpha, you do it in this. I think that should work. Are you becoming a pain? Let's do it all the way down. Huh. Well, we'll get back to that. I'll take a look at it tonight and then let you see it. But as you can see, we're getting everything. You know, this should probably be black, so it shows up a lot better. There we go. All we have is our paint left, and or whatever the other material that you decide to use, and you are set. I'm gonna probably see if I can find a space scene for you guys to set up in. But if I do that, what I'll do is I'll put it in the intro video of how to use this stuff. And I just, you know, threw stuff in here. If you press play, it should be facing the camera, I think. Yeah, it's just really far away. So I'll pull this up, find that camera. And move it down. Move it forward, move it down. I'll rotate it. There you go. So if I press play, I may just throw that free camera that we had in the other one in here too. It's actually easy to find. Here, let me see if I can do it. I'm going to go over to the other environment that's defaulted in here that we opened up earlier. I'm going to save the scene, actually. File, save as. This is the Unity file. Let's see, this is. BG1, weekly lectures, week 8, and we'll just do that. Oh, it is a scene, good. Okay, so, recent environments, and then we'll go up to assets, scenes, we'll just save it there. Put this over, oops, goodness, okay. So if we go to that other scene, just looking at the sample scene, you'll see there's the main camera. Let's see. What I will try and do is copy this, or let's say show me. Click on this and say, interesting, it's all this set up inside of here. Copy, let's see if we go to the other scene. Paste. And let's see if I press play, if it'll just work. That'd be amazing. Yep. And it uses velocity, so you can spin around your machine, your stuff now. Yay! This is without lighting or anything too. So pretty fun, pretty cool. We can come right up on this, and lo and behold, got it. All right, and that's it. Just need you to texture your ship, make shaders for yourself, and go for it. you have the weekend, so get it done because next week we're going to start doing some other stuff. And then we're going to go back in here and use the same stuff we have now and that. Oh, I was going to show you something fun. Goodness, I cannot click on. Let's see, project. Okay. File, open scene, and you know, no, I'll just do it there. Class, Unity, capstone. Not scene. Open project, capstone. Save. That's the shader graph I was working on in here. Fun, fun, fun. And we can change, and I haven't even done it so it's usable for everybody, but we could do like 500. And this is what it's supposed to do. I don't know why the other one's being weird, but this one. I mean the window, the one that's supposed to be down here. Anyway, fun stuff. There's a lot more to do too. So I will talk to you later.